All right, welcome back. Powers on Sports Podcast. Now we are off to Omaha, Nebraska, home of the College World Series. The Florida Gators are in the driver's seat in their bracket to get out. They are in the winner's bracket. Next game will be up on Thursday. They will play either TCU or Oral Roberts in a game where TCU and Oral Roberts has to beat Florida twice. So no better person to talk to than Kevin Brockway. Kevin's been a regular here on the podcast. He covers the Gators sports beat for the Gainesville Sun and the Gannett Florida Network. So welcome back, Kevin, live from Omaha.
Yeah, hey, it's good to be here, and it's been a good run so far for Florida. They've won their first two games, a couple of dramatic nail biters, one-run games, but the Gators have managed to put themselves in a really good position. Going into next week, their next game is going to be on Wednesday, and if they win that game, then they get to the final series.
Talk about the dramatics. There's been a lot of dramatics in all the games, not just the Florida two games. The series has been peppered with late inning drama. The Gators started off this the drama coming back from 2 down in the ninth to beat Virginia, 2 solo homers, and then you had the sacrifice fly. Just talk about the drama that you and I talked a couple of weeks back how Florida has been very dependent on the home run, and that's been a very key moment here, a key part of their comeback. So talk about the first, I guess the initial late inning drama comeback versus Virginia a little bit.
Yeah, and you talk about drama. I mean, and this whole tournament, 6 of the 8 games have been decided by 1 run. But for Florida, it was an interesting game on Friday night because the wind was blowing in for about the first 6 or 7 innings. Then it stopped, and that's when Florida got going with the long ball. I thought that BT Rypel homer was huge, making it 4-3, and then Neely gives up a run in the top of the ninth, and you're thinking,
Right.
it's going to be a tough. But Ty Evans is the guy who obviously was a late replacement that needed offense. He gave him offense. He had a solo home run to start the ninth inning. Gave him a real nice jolt. Then a home run by Wyatt Langford that probably hasn't landed yet, right? It's 456 feet. That was huge, and they load the bases. So they were really Jake Berry was on his 3rd inning of relief for Virginia there, and I think the probably wore down a little bit. But credit Florida for taking advantage of it and pulling out the win.
In game 2, they play Oral Roberts. Kind of the script flips a little bit. Florida jumps out to the lead, and they kind of have to hang on there at the end against Oral Roberts. Talk about the pitching a little bit. I mean, obviously the pitching's been really good for Florida for the most part. The starting pitching's been good, but the bullpen is where kind of if Florida's vulnerable, it seems like maybe that's a little bit where they're vulnerable.
Well, I think too, Hurston Waldrop gave him 6 really good innings, but he did walk 3 batters early in that game, and that kind of came back to bite him from a pitch count standpoint. So he only lasted 6 innings. Then you go to Ryan Slater, and I think too, Tyler Shelnut, who's been really good with the bat for Florida, but is a kind of a converted infielder. That was a tough play out there, but maybe could have been made, but it turned out to be a 2-run inside the park home run, makes it 5-3. Then you get in a situation where you have Brandon Neely on their mound, your closer, to try to finish it out, but they make too many mound visits. Kevin O'Sullivan steps out. That's a crazy situation for him. And then you go to Cade Fisher, and Cade Fisher, freshman lefty, closed the door. It was a little shaky in the ninth, but he got it done. And Kevin O'Sullivan even apologized to his team afterwards for not knowing, keeping, maybe the dugout not keeping track of it, but it was just one of those crazy nights. But they did find a way to pull it out, and they hit 3 more homers also on Sunday, and broke the school record, 135 dingers for the season. But you would like to see this offense generate runs without the low maybe going forward, because I think there are going to be some circumstances, the next few days where the wind will be blowing in, and you're going to need to manufacture and score runs in different ways.
Yeah, Florida only had 5 hits against Oral Roberts, I think, and 3 of those were homers. So it wasn't like it was an offensive barrage. Talk about the general atmosphere of Omaha. Obviously, this is a great event. Teams from all over the country. There's obviously 8 fan bases. Who's the most popular? I mean, who's got the most people out there? A lot of people think LSU tends to bring the most people. What's been the atmosphere, just the city and where you're at?
Yeah, no, LSU and Wake Forest have been the two big fan bases out here, particularly LSU. They come every year. Their fans are very rabid. And, they have the Jello shot contest, right, at Rocco's across from the stadium. And LSU's running away with it. I think they're up to like 10 or 20,000 or something ridiculous like that. And Florida's a little far behind, but I think the Gator fans, you hope if they make it to the final series the following this weekend coming up that they'll show up and have a chance to witness, what could be their second national championship in school history. And I do think that Florida's in a really good spot right now, really good position to at least make the final series. And if it's them and Wake, I think that'll be a pretty tough matchup because then you'll have the number one and number two seeds and two teams that are really complete and in all phases of the game in terms of defense, pitching, and offense. Those are really the two teams. I kind of liked LSU, but I think their talent is kind of top heavy with Skeens and Cruz,
Right.
and it looks like the depth in their pitching could be a big concern going forward, and they're really going to have to, dig out of it now with the situation that they're in the losers bracket facing Tennessee tonight.
Yeah, that's one other thing. Again, if you're Florida, you obviously don't want to look at the other bracket a whole lot, but you know that one of the other SEC teams is going to get eliminated with Tennessee and LSU both going to knock each other out. And you're right. Skeens is the heavyweight. He's the guy you don't want to see if you can avoid that. Pitching wise for Florida, has Kevin O'Sullivan announced how he's going to go in this next game? Is he going to save anybody, or is he going to go for the knockout punch to try to get to the finals immediately with his pitching?
Caglione, I mean, he's been a third starter all year, and Jack has been a little better of late. So I think he'll be the guy that gets the ball, and then you'll probably have Ryan Slater behind him. Philip Abner, hasn't pitched yet. Maybe he gets a little bit of run in the thing, and then maybe in the late innings you go again to Brandon Neely and Cade Fisher. I guess Neely's outing being shorter than expected does save some pitches, obviously.
Hold on there a second. We've lost our connection with Kevin Brockway. We'll just give us a minute. We'll be right back. Hold on. Kevin will join us back here in just a second. You there, Kevin?
I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, no
Did
problem.
I lose you?
Yeah, we lost you for just a few seconds.
All
Talk
right.
about we talk about the pitching kind of scenario for Florida. The next game you mentioned Caglione and who potentially it will be available behind him.
Yeah, Ryan Slater, I think, would be a guy. Phil Abner would be another one who hasn't pitched yet. A lefty, could get some pitches in this game. And then, you've got Cade Fisher and Brandon Neely. And I think Florida's just in a really good spot because they've had 2 days off. So I think a lot of the pitchers would be bullpen, but you're also probably hoping that Caglione gives you a really good start. He's been a little up and down throughout the course of the season. Sometimes he can get a little wild, but when he's on and when he's dialed in, he still has great stuff. I mean, he still throws, that fastball, 95 to 97. You've got
All right, we're having a couple technical issues. All right, there he is.
Yep. Okay.
It's called technology, folks. Kevin's live from Omaha. He's in a hotel, so we apologize, but Kevin's back. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, Caglione, I think, is, like I said, you're hoping for a long start from him.
Yep.
And he's shown he's capable. I mean, he pitched really well at the end of the SEC season. So if you can get 5 to 7 innings out of him in this start, you're going to be in a really good spot. With your bullpen, Phil Abner, Ryan Slater, and then late in the game, Brandon Neely.
Do you anticipate any kind of lineup changes to spark the offense a little bit, try to not be as reliant on the home run, or do you think he's going to go with his top 9 guys that he's been going with for the most part throughout the year?
Yeah, I think he's going to, pretty much go with his guys. I mean, Ty Evans, I think, is the hot bat. So you'll see him at one of the corner outfield spots still. And then Colby Halter at third base has hit well in the postseason. So I think he's really settled on him as the starting third baseman. So, Kate Curlin has kind of struggled. He did have a hit in his last game to lead off the game, but he's a guy that I think they'd really like to see get going at the leadoff spot to get on base and create some havoc out there.
All right, so again, just summarizing here, Florida's in the driver's seat in their bracket. They're in the winners half of the bracket. They're going to play the loser of the winner, of the TCU Oral Roberts game, and that winner will have to beat Florida twice. So looking pretty good for Florida, at least to get to the championship series. Again, we don't know who they're going to see on the other side. Potentially Wake Forest, when that would be a classic 1-2 matchup in the College World Series. I got a couple football questions for you. A couple big recruiting notes in the last few days for Florida. Give the audience an update. They signed a big defensive lineman, outside linebacker kid from Mississippi, and then a quarterback left Florida and is going somewhere else. Give the audience a little update on that.
Yeah, well, Waller is a guy who, he's that 5-star, 4-star edge rusher who is, top 30 national prospect. Really good player. And then if you look up and down the board of their commitments, a lot of guys on the defensive line, a lot of guys that are edge rushers. They did get the tight end, Amir Jackson, too. But for the most part, addressing the line of scrimmage, both lines of scrimmage, offense and defense, which is how you got to win in the SEC. I mean, I think we all know that. It's a line of scrimmage league. And I think, Billy Napier has done a good job of addressing that. And I've seen in some rankings now the 2024 class is up to 2-3 in the country right now, behind Georgia. So that's a pretty good neighborhood. Of course, you got to hold them all until December. That's the key, right? Because these kids can be pretty fickle. But, you hope you can, and you hope that that class materializes, and that you can have a class that is really good. And then obviously Austin Simmons decommitting and then going to Ole Miss, a little bit of a surprise. So I think your quarterback situation going into 2023, you've got Jack Miller, you've got Graham Mertz, and you got to hope that those guys, the experience of those guys, and having been to the Big Ten, will carry through and be able to lead the offense for the 2023 season. And DJ Lagway will be waiting in the wings in 2024. Right. He will be the quarterback of the future.
Was that part of the decision, you think, for Simmons to leave was because of Lagway?
Yeah, I didn't think it necessarily made sense with regards to that. Like, would he want to compete with DJ Lagway? But I also thought that maybe there was a chance that if this kid, Austin Simmons, was really that good, maybe by the middle of the season, he could have a chance to take the job for 2023. Right. But it didn't work out that way. And maybe he'll just go instead with Lane Kiffin and learn and develop under him and see how his career goes there. But I know Simmons has a lot of talent. He broke a lot of Anquan Bolden's passing records at Pahokee. So we'll see if he can become a guy in the SEC that will be reckoned with.
Well, Kevin Brockway, great work. Keep up the great coverage of the Gators. Tell everybody where they can find your great coverage throughout the rest of the week and moving through the summer.
Yeah, at Kevin Brockway G1, Gatorsports.com, Gainesville.com. That's where you can find me.
He does great work. He'll be covering the Gators football beat as we move closer to training camp. Obviously, the rest of this week he'll be live in Omaha covering the Gators in their run for a College World Series. And hopefully we won't see Kevin on the wall there with all the jealous shots. Hopefully he can partake a little bit, but not too much. So have a great rest of your week, Kevin, in Omaha. Have a nice steak, have a nice meal, and enjoy all the great baseball.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Have a great week, and we'll be right back. Powers on Sports Podcast. Thanks.